Pregame.com.
Pac-12 action on Saturday. The battle between UCLA and California from Berkeley. The Cal Golden Bears opened up a 2-point underdog. They are now getting 2.5 in this one. Marco, I was set to play Cal last weekend at home against Arizona State, and then I started looking at all those injuries to that California offensive line. In fact, they had 2 offensive line projected starters before the season who they lost preseason. And then going into last week, they had a bunch of little bumps and bruises all along the offensive line. I thought it better to hang off and hold off for the Cal Golden Bears, and luckily did so because Arizona State came through and won relatively easily at Cal. But other than the 2 lost preseason offensive line starters, they're probably at their healthiest right now since they rolled up 500-plus yards at Ohio State.
Yeah, well, they're getting one of those offensive guys back. Matt Summers, Gavin is coming back, so they're going to get some beef up the offensive line a little bit. Last week, I looked at that game, and I agree with you. I wanted to take Cal, but I left the game alone because more for me, not the injuries. I was looking at, I'm a situational guy. They were coming off 2 major games back-to-back. They went to Ohio State, played Ohio State to the limit. I mean, you go into the shoe.
512 yards of offense they put up in that game. Yeah.
That was a tremendous game for them. Then they come home and play the big rivalry, not rivalry, but it's Southern Cal. You play them at, after Southern Cal just got beat. So, they came out with fire in their eyes. 2 tough ball games in a row. I thought they were beat up both physically and mentally going into last week. So that was the week to stay away from them. But what it does give us is people are going to overreact to that one game. They're going to look and say, okay, well, now they got crushed by, Arizona State last week. They're going to leave them alone this week. That's when I want them. I look for value. And to be honest with you, I think that's the wrong team's favorite. I think you got an undervalued Cal team playing an overrated UCLA team. I'm not sold on this 4-1 UCLA team right now.
Well, I think you made great points. Before last weekend's games, I do mine in advance. I've talked about it, Brian, on the radio show, First Preview Radio, many times that I make my lines a week in advance, my power ratings. And I actually had California a 1-point favorite for this game before they go out and lose that game to Arizona State. Now, if you go all the way back to the beginning of the season, you're talking about a reversal of where the line is now. Cal's probably at least a 3-point favorite in this game. What we've seen and what the public knows is that Tedford's on a serious hot seat. He's only won, I think it's 5 of his last 15 games at Cal. And then you've got UCLA, who everybody saw on national TV. They beat Nebraska at home 36-30. They see the young quarterback running all over the field. And that's what's etched right now in the minds of a lot of public bettors who are jumping in on this game. So I think there's a lot of value here, as Marco just said, in grabbing the points with the Golden Bears.
Yeah, I'm looking to play Cal, too. I'm hoping I can get it up to 3 before it happens. What's all the love for UCLA? I mean, they've played Rice, Nebraska at home. We've already talked about Big Ten teams traveling west. I mean, they also played Houston and Colorado. Take a look at who Cal has played. I mean, they played a really tough schedule. They've played Nevada, Ohio State, USC, Arizona State. All those teams are going bowling. I'm not sure that Rice and Houston and Colorado are going bowling. So I just don't understand the love for UCLA.
The best team they've probably, well, Oregon State, but also I was going to say.
They lost that game.
And they lost that game. And then the Nebraska side is, they're somewhere in that 15 to just outside of the top 25 range.
Well,
that's maybe even, and I might be overrating them a little bit at 15.
They're a good team, but if you watch, I mean, that same weekend, 3 teams from the Big 12 or back to Big Ten, all went out west. They all
absolutely
lost.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Now, Marco, I know this is your best bet, and we're going to get to that in just one moment. But again, it's my time to play devil's advocate here. And I'm kind of on Cal here, but which Cal team shows up here? You've got the team that put up 500-plus yards against Ohio State, took the Buckeyes to the brink after a slow start, and then actually, they were only down 8 points going into the fourth quarter against Southern Cal. Do we see that team, or do we see the one with Zach Maynard going 44% through the air the last 2 games and getting sacked 13 times the last 2 weekends? What say you?
Well, obviously, I'm going to say that we're going to see the good Zach Maynard because, I like the Cal side here. But this is a situation where getting the offensive lineman back, the second week off removed from those 2 big games. I am a guy that I can't emphasize it enough. I think too many people automatically think a team's going to bounce back after a big game loss. And to me, I think it's so far from the norm. It's a carryover effect. You play Ohio State to the limit, That had to be deflating. Then you go play Southern Cal, get beat up in that game. They weren't mentally prepared, and we've talked about the coach for California's been on the hot seat forever. It's do or die now. They're getting the offensive lineman back. I don't like this UCLA defense. I think it's overrated. I think they're going to be able to move the ball. I like it. Public perception, 88% of the bets coming in so far have been on UCLA. And the public's going to look and see this game, a 4-1 team, a 1-4 team, and it's less than a field goal right now. It's like, oh, Vegas is giving away free money. They're not giving away free money.
And this becomes California's, this is their game of the year. It's either win now or it's over with, and Tedford's looking for a new job next year. So having said that, let's get to your best bet.
Scott, you said it. They're sitting there. They got to start to win here because they're not going to be bowl eligible. If they, I know at 1-4 you're running the risk, but I like California at home. They're going to play a good game against this UCLA team. UCLA, paper mache 4-1, and the signature win was Nebraska. Nebraska struggled with them. It was a Wisconsin team last week. Wisconsin has not played well so far, had big offensive line problems during the season. They weren't able to run the ball. And Wisconsin went in and handled Nebraska. So that signature win doesn't look as good as it does now. And the one thing I'm going to tell you, when you make a bet and you're going to the window and it's easy to say it, and 88% of the people are having no problem saying, give me UCLA minus the points. If it looks that easy, it's not. I like California. Wrong team's favorite. Last week we found you value with Iowa in the best bet section. We're 5-1 with the best bets. Guys, I'm going to make it hopefully 6-1 this week. The Cal Bears win this one outright. I've got them 31-24. You'll see some points this week. Take the Cal Bears.
I got to tell you a little story. You brought up the Iowa Hawkeyes. I do a Friday radio show in Friday mornings on KXNO in Des Moines. And I hadn't had a play on the Iowa Hawkeyes or Iowa State all season leading up to this last Friday. And I just had to say it because it's kind of funny. I do the show, and I said, Iowa, I like them even though they've gone up to, I think it was 7 or 7.5 at the time. Told the reasons why I thought Minnesota was going to be just what the doctor ordered for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And as soon as I get done with the radio show, 15 minutes later, I see a tweet, and it says, Las Vegas Insider says lock on the Iowa Hawkeyes, then the play of the year in Vegas. Sometimes you just got to roll with it. I don't think I've used the word lock in my entire handicapping career. I don't know about you guys. Anyway, it's a clean sweep on the panel up here. We're all going with Cal. It's Marco's best bet. More to come all weekend long right here at pregame.tv.